Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I am a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. This is the astrological forecast for April 12th through April 18th, 2020. Now, to be clear, this is a general forecast, meaning I am aiming at approximately 8 billion people. So if this does not seem to fit with you, there's a couple of things you can do. One, check out the signs of your moon, your Mars, and your ascendant. You can find these on your natal charts, or you can contact me directly and I can look it up for you. There's a lot of reasons for that, but for the time being, please do watch the video through. Take a look below. It'll give you all kinds of contact information for me. So watch the video, like it, absolutely subscribe so you can get the next one out. And then let's get on with it. Now, we always start off with a card to represent the entire package. And that particular card is the Two of Swords. This indicates that we have choice, that you're in a period of choice. Now, of course, as we know, there is a lot of change going on right now in the world at this point. Well, the Two of Swords says it's time to really take a look at the way your life is going. Decide what you're content with, what you're not content with. The things you're not content with, those are the easy things to change. Or more to the point, they're the easy things to spot. You know if you're not happy with something. If you're happy with it, sometimes it can be a little fuzzy as to why. But the idea here is, with the Two of Swords, is telling you take a real close look at what you're going through, what you've been working on. Is it working for you? Do not worry too much if anybody else, aside from the law, likes what you're doing. Okay, because this is about you and what you're aiming for. Now, Aries. Aries, we have the sun inverted. Now, sometimes people will look at that as a negative because inverted, it does indicate there's loss coming. But like we just discussed, where it comes to this week, there is a period of looking at where your life is, deciding what you're content with. So the loss in this case is you going, don't like this anymore and throwing it out. Because of that, what you're looking at is there will be changes around you. Now, these losses can be physical. It may be an issue of you going through stuff and deciding, I don't need this physical material anymore. It may be thought processes that you're modifying. Or, in your case, it may also be what I tend to call deadweight friendships, meaning friendships that you're putting the effort into and getting virtually nothing back in return. Now, when we take a look at Taurus, Taurus has the Queen of Swords. Now, this indicates a very definitive look at the way your life is. Quite often, this means that there is somebody that is normally female, definitively creative, but there is a female around you, likely dark-haired, that is really giving you some insight into changes that you personally require, that may be beneficial for you. Now, don't forget, there are those of you, there will be many of you that are female yourselves and dark-haired. This does not mean you're on your own. This means there's somebody else there as well. Now, don't forget, sometimes this may be a male that's very creative. There's a lot of variables, and this is the one problem with aiming at such a wide array of people. Now, if we look at Gemini, Gemini shows the Hanged Man. Now, the Hanged Man indicates that things are on hold for a bit. This is your time to take a step back, really assess what you're going through, and piece together what you require. Okay, it does not mean things aren't moving, it just means it's slowed down. Okay. Now, when we look at Cancer, that's the Four of Wands. Now, in previous readings, it's come up before. Not surprising, really, when you think about it. But the Four of Wands does indicate harmony on the home front. There are changes you're making at this point that are working out quite nicely. Okay, it does indicate you're on the right track to make the changes that you require. Okay, don't forget, if you've got a partner, this does indicate that it is time to sit down and really communicate with each other. Make sure you're both on the same page. Now, Leo, the Five of Swords inverted indicates this is a time for straightforward honesty. If you've been holding things back, if you've been hiding the way you're feeling or what you're up to, okay. Now, the only time that is a really good idea to keep things a secret is if you're planning some sort of a party for somebody. And I am referring to like a birthday party or way down the road this year, a Christmas party, whatever. If you're planning a party or a pleasant surprise, certainly keep it secret. Other than that, this is telling you it is time to come clean. It's time to be straightforward with what you're going through, with what you're feeling, especially where it comes to relationships. If you're not content, this is the time to come out and let your other half know. Okay. Now, don't forget, the one little detail with this is where it comes to communication, especially. In over 40 years of doing this, I've yet to see a case where communication itself was not a 50-50 problem. So if you're one of these people that's looking at it and going, the problem is all my fault, no, it's not. Okay, your partner, whoever you're trying to talk to, this may be business, it may be a relationship, whoever you're in communication conflict with, is a 50-50 problem. Either you're not saying something effectively or they're not understanding what you're saying. Okay. And that may be a case of either you're trying to be a little too subtle, or they just don't want to hear it. Could be any number of reasons. Time to be clear. Now, Virgo, your creative side is running overtime. This is the Seven of Cups, meaning your imagination is really pushing limits. This is a good thing. Let your imagination go. Okay, but keep your feet in reality. Don't forget, imagination is the key to the higher senses. Okay, now there's an old belief out there that goes, seeing is believing. The ironic part of it is that is absolutely backwards. The reality behind it is believing is seeing. You can look at something and if you don't believe it's there, you're just not going to register it. Now, don't get carried away with that. Okay. But Virgo, it's time to really let your imagination come clear. Start following your heart. Use your head to get there, but let your imagination determine what you're capable of. There is very little on the planet that you cannot do. The whole pile I wouldn't recommend. Now, when we look at Libra, now Libra shows the Six of Pentacles inverted. Now, what that means is, your normal, outgoing, helpful self. This is where you really have to take a look at it and be careful that you're not overextending yourself. This applies to strangers, friends, and family. It indicates very clearly that you have to make sure you're taking care of the home front at the same time as everything else. Okay, now, if we take a look at Scorpio, Scorpio has the Five of Cups inverted. Now, you'll notice it looks a little bit unhappy if we turn it upside down. But the nice part about it is because it's inverted, it does show this is a time for celebration. This is a time when that shadow that's been over you or that stress that's been over you, whatever you're struggling with, is finally being pushed into the light where you can deal with it. Okay, you're finally making that breakthrough to get through the struggle that you've been on. Now, when we take a look at Sagittarius, boy, that's an interesting one. See, Sagittarius shows the tower. Now, what this shows is because we still have to look at the reality that the galactic center is in Sagittarius right now. Well, the tower shows that the truth is going to come out, and it's likely to turn your head completely around, not physically, hopefully. But it's likely to turn things around. It's going to give you a brand new look at things, much more clearer view. This is the time to really settle in and go, where am I standing? What am I doing? Be straightforward, be honest. Okay. It's going to cause disruption, no question there. But bear in mind, if you're in the middle of doing a planned project and you all of a sudden shift gears a little, it's going to throw things for a bit of a loop. This is not a bad thing. Okay, it does mean that this is the time to clear the deck. Now, oddly enough, when we talk about clearing the deck or clear the stuff off your table, I made the mistake a few days ago, right, where I was literally in my office going, I've got to get my table cleared. Well, no sooner did I think that, than my right leg, which is a bad leg to start with, collapsed on me. I fell down, hit the table, rolled the table over, table was cleared. Not the best way to do it, but it worked. Now, when we take a look at Capricorn, Capricorn shows the King of Cups. Now, this indicates that your emotions are likely going to be running a little higher today. Well, this week. Okay, put them to use. As we said earlier, if not this video, another one. When your heart and your head are in conflict, follow your heart, but use your head to get there. Meaning, let that creative side of yours run. Especially if you're running a business or you're trying to run your household properly. This is the time to really focus on it and decide exactly what you can do to make things a little bit more entertaining. Okay, now Aquarius. Aquarius, you have meetings coming up. The King of Wands indicates there's going to be a lot of discussion coming up. This may be business, it may be relationship. There's a lot of possibilities there, but the important factor is this is the time for your business, if you will, for your focus to be on the meetings, be on the idea of compromising where you're standing. Compromising, solidifying, call it what you will. But it really is time to get a handle on what you're aiming for. Because until you do that, you could have some complications. Okay. Now, the nice little part about it. Now, Aquarius, I got lost there. Forgive me. This is why I say this is not I'm not going to go through and edit it, which means this little stumble that I just had. Sorry, that's me. This does show meetings coming up all over the place. Okay, so there's a lot of discussion going on. It's time to get your hands back on the wheel and decide, really, does a change work for you? Is it something that you're aiming for? When we take a look at Pisces, now, I find this rather fascinating myself. There's another piece that we'll add to this. But with Pisces, we have the King of Swords. Again, we have this issue of it's time to take dominant control over where your life is going. Now, don't forget, this does not mean you control everybody around you. It means self-control, self-discipline. Okay, take a look at where your life is changing. You're at a point where, like we said at the beginning, you're at a point in life where it's absolutely critical that you take a look at it and go, okay, what is working, what is not? Start making changes to the things that are not working. Okay, doesn't matter what you change them to, because you can always change them again. Now, as per usual, we wrap this up with final card for the overall. And this shows the Ace of Cups inverted. Now, what this tells you, the Ace of Cups inverted, because we're looking at an overall picture. Okay, you have to take a look at a couple of things here. The Ace of Cups says it's not your heart that you let make the decisions, it's your heart that you use to figure out what decisions have to be made. This is the time to really put your thinking cap on and work your way through. Follow your heart, but use your head to get there. Okay. Now, I mentioned there was something additional going on here. When we look at Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces, all three have court cards. Okay, these three together tell you that, especially in the latter part of this week, the meetings that we've been talking about, the discussions that you're going to be having, there's going to be extra input coming in. Okay, if you're not careful, if you don't stand your ground, this can turn into resistance. It can come and turn into outside interference. If you stand your ground, if you really think things through, and whatever you do, do not stand your ground based on it's my way and I want it that way. Use your head. Okay, certainly stick to your principles, but make sure they're following karmic law. This does indicate that the meetings will be successful. Okay, and with that in mind, we're going to we always keep these short. So until we meet again, take care of yourselves and each other, and for pity's sakes, stay positive.